Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is 5:30, and I call this regular meeting of the Burnsville City Council to order. The clerk will note for the record that Mayor Kautz is absent. We will begin our meeting with a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tonight's meeting is being conducted both in person and online. City Council members and staff are in the chambers. Council member Keeley is joining us on Zoom. Members of the public may attend in person, or the public can watch the meeting online, and that's at burnsvillemn.gov meetings or Comcast channels 16 or 859. The public can also participate through Zoom by joining us at zoom.us/join. More information is available on our meeting's webpage and in the council agenda packet. We do have an announcement for the upcoming meetings. We have a regular city council meeting Tuesday, February 8th at 5:30 p.m. Tuesday, February 22nd, again, 5:30 p.m. And then Tuesday, February 15th is a work session, and that's at 5:30 p.m. We do have a special council meeting, and that will be Tuesday, January 25th at 5:30 p.m. and our all-day work session the day before, which was Monday, January 24th at 9 a.m. And that one will not be in council chambers. That will be in the new Fire Station 1 in their conference room. We do have a proclamation this evening, and this is for National School Choice Week. Whereas all children in the city of Burnsville should have access to the highest quality education possible, and whereas the city recognizes the important role that an effective education plays in preparing all students in the city to be successful adults, and whereas the quality education is critically important to the vitality of the city, and whereas the city has many high-quality teaching professionals in all types of school settings who are committed to educating our children, and whereas the city is home to a multitude of high-quality public and non-public schools from which parents can choose for their children, in addition to families who educate their children in their home. And whereas educational variety not only helps to diversify and enhance the vibrancy of our community, and whereas School Choice Week is celebrated across the country by millions of students, parents, educators, schools, and organizations to raise the awareness of the need for effective educational options. Now, therefore, I, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby recognize January 23rd to January 29th, 2022 as National School Choice Week, and this is proclaimed on the 18th day of January, 2022. Our next agenda item is citizen comments, and this is the opportunity for anyone who would like to address the council on an item that is not on the printed agenda and not coming before us at a future meeting. Does anyone wish to address council? I believe we do have one person. Yep, if you would come up to the microphone and state your name and your address for the record. Welcome.
My name is Kathleen Farber. I live at 10920 Territorial Drive, Burnsville, 55337. I've lived there since approximately November of 2003. It's a single-family home. I live there by myself. I have a dog who is a 22-pound poodle mix. I generally am out walking in my neighborhood, as are many, many other people. On any given day in North River Hills, you can watch a parade of 20 people walking by. It's very heavily foot traffic. In the past 18 months, I have been challenged, accosted by loose dogs in my neighborhood. In 3 different occasions, And all three of the occasions, the owners or babysitters of the dogs have been present in front of their house and stood there watching as their dog ran across the street, approached me, menaced me, terrorized me, and I yelled and cried for help, and they all stood there just watching and not taking any action. This has gotten to the point in River Hills where these dogs are a menace. The owners are irresponsible. They don't want to accept responsibility for their dogs or their actions. They don't seem to understand that when their dog is running out in the street, they are no longer in control of their dog, regardless of whether they are there present with it. I am a senior citizen. I'm a 5'1" woman. I am not able to defend myself from these animals without a weapon. I don't want to stand there and watch my dog being attacked as he is trying to protect me. This situation has blown up. My neighbor across the street, another senior citizen, was attacked a week ago today. A police report has been filed. I'm not authorized to speak for her. I'm not her attorney. She was in North River Hills Park at 8:30 in the morning, walking, and she was mobbed by 3 Labrador retrievers, one of which was huge, jumped on her and knocked her to the ground. When she was on the ground, the other dogs trampled her. She broke her arm in 3 places up here at the shoulder, laid on the ground screaming and crying until the owner finally approached, put leashes on all 3 dogs, and then led them away from the scene of the attack and escaped. She did not stay to offer aid or assistance to my neighbor, who was laying on the ground, 30-degree weather, screaming and crying, begging for help. Finally, a Good Samaritan came along and assisted her with calling her sister to come and pick her up, and got the attention of city workers who were working very near to her, but they were in the process of flooding the hockey rink, so they didn't hear her screaming. They took her to a park building where she could be inside and away from the weather, and her family came and took her to an emergency orthopedic doctor, and one of her other family members filed a police report. I haven't seen the police report. I know that this whole story is on River Hills Next Door website. This doesn't surprise me because, like I said, I have encountered 3 times this kind of irresponsible dog behavior or owner behavior. I love animals, but people, it's just like having a car or a gun. You have to take responsibility for this, and you are responsibility for this. I am asking the city council to do something to be proactive, to educate or let owners know that this behavior is not acceptable. I understand that I can call the police or that I can call animal control. I don't want to start a big feud with all of my neighbors. And many of the people don't. One of the dogs that ran at me came out of a cul-de-sac on Territorial Court, and I have found out recently that this dog is allowed to roam around the cul-de-sac all the time to do his business at will in all his other neighbors' yards, and everyone's afraid to take action. The city needs to oversee this somehow. This is the type of thing that puts neighbors against neighbors, and once it starts, it gets out of control. It's already started, and I am asking the city council to somehow intervene to correct this situation. Do you have any questions?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. I also live in North River Hills. In this fall, there was a loose dog in our neighborhood. I have a elderly Somali American woman who speaks no English, who walks all day, every day, and I tried to stop her to let her know that this dog was loose. But she didn't understand what I was saying, so called the police, and by the time they came, the dog was gone. So I don't know what the solution is. What I would say is if you could get my card, I don't know where we keep those.
Out front.
Yeah, it's a good place for them. We can have a discussion with our city manager and you and I can maybe talk and figure out what the best solution is.
I'm aware of that lady too. I've talked to her, by sign language, basically, on many occasions, and I have not seen her lately. I've allowed her to rest in my driveway when she needs to rest, and at one time when she was overexhausted, I called her neighbors, whom I know, who came to pick her up.
Okay.
But yes, many of the people who are walking in our neighborhood are elderly. And even a healthy person can easily be knocked down by a large lab. It's happened to me, and these weren't trying to bite her. They were trying to play with her. But they simply overpowered her and trampled her and were not under the control of their owner.
It's your duty as an animal owner to make sure that doesn't happen. I mean, that's kind of rule number one in my book.
Anyone else?
Anyone have any other questions?
No, I agree. I've seen quite a few dogs running around, and we have a couple shepherds in our neighborhood that are pretty much running free right now too, and have terrorized a couple neighbors, and they've been on next door talking about it. And they call animal control, but by the time they get out there, the dogs are gone again. And so
Right.
we
Right.
probably need to have further discussion. How do we get a little more proactive and kind of just searching?
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. If you could, would you come up with a list of options that the city could then take a look at? And we can look at that for further discussion at another time, whether that is an educational awareness campaign or whatever. If you could start to look into that.
Mayor and council will absolutely do that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your words. Do we have anyone else who wishes to speak? Did we have anyone on Zoom, do you know?
Doesn't appear so. Doesn't appear that way.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so next item is additions to the final agenda. This is for emergency items that need immediate council action or discussion. Does staff have any additions to the final agenda?
Nothing from staff, Mayor.
Does council have any items to put on the final agenda?
No changes, but I'd like to pull an item for W. I
All
suppose I
right,
got a little ahead of myself.
Before we get to consent.
Sorry, we can wait till you get to consent.
that's okay. Now we know that there's going to be an item pulled. Okay, so seeing nothing to add to the final agenda, then we're going to move on. The consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine and are enacted in one motion. However, any item can be removed from the consent agenda for a separate discussion and vote. Is there anyone from the public who wishes for an item to be removed from the consent agenda for a separate discussion and vote? Does staff wish for any item to be removed from consent agenda?
Nothing from staff, Mayor.
All right, Vince, you're on.
I would like to pull 4W from the consent agenda, please.
All right, we will be pulling 4W from the consent agenda. All right, so may I have a motion for the remainder of the consent agenda?
So moved.
Motion to move the balance?
Okay, we'll do a first by Gustafson, second by Keeley.
It's because of the delay that we get.
I know. Keely's at a disadvantage, he got delayed. And we're gonna do this, if the clerk could take the roll.
Councilmember Gustafson.
Aye.
Keeley.
Aye.
Schultz.
Yes.
Workman.
Aye.
All right, so that passes. Now we're gonna move on to the regular agenda. We'll pick up
We're
at.
gonna handle 4W now.
Yeah, we're gonna pick up 4W first, although that kind of flips it on to our regular. All right. So 4W deals with accepting our city manager's resignation, approving a separation agreement, and then appointment of interim city manager.
Thank you. I just wanted to take a quick moment to thank Melanie Lee for her time with the organization and publicly welcome Greg Lindberg as our incoming city manager. and express our excitement and anticipation of working with him in the coming 12 months.
I would agree with that.
Excellent. I also would like to take the opportunity to express how excited we are that Greg has accepted, poor guy, the interim city manager position. Greg may be someone you see from time to time, but you're obviously going to be seeing a lot more of him. He has a fantastic background. One of the portions of his background is that he is a former city council member, and he was a former city council member in St. Louis Park, correct?
Correct.
And so he was able to work with that city during a time of a lot of redevelopment and really bringing St. Louis Park into an incredible, vibrant position that it is now. So to have an interim city manager with that perspective, we are exceptionally lucky in that. We've also been hearing from staff how much they enjoy working with Greg these past years, and the feeling of excitement is definitely palpable, and we're all just looking forward to working with you more and working with you closer as well. So I would like to thank you for stepping up. I think you're crazy, but I'm happy you're crazy. So welcome.
Thank you very much.
So I would like a motion.
I will make the motion to approve as written in our background.
First by Workman.
We're giving Keeley a chance here.
Second. I was waiting for you, Gustafson.
All right, and so we now have a second. So would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Gustafson.
Aye.
Keeley.
Aye.
Schultz.
Yes.
Workman.
Aye.
Motion
And we are passed. All right, we're now going to go on to the regular agenda. So on 5A, we have amendment to the 2022 budget for the Burnsville Community Foundation. And so we have as our presenter our interim finance director, and that is Dan Tinter, and we'll have you take it away.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the council, this evening I am prepared to walk you through an amendment to the 2022 budget. Recently, the Burnsville Community Foundation has announced its intention to raise some funds and donate a life-sized bronze sculpture to the city entitled Homage. It will be placed near the police station, and it is at a cost of about $181,000. And they do plan to go through with this later this year. In fact, right now, the goal is right around May of 2022, and it will be placed in the courtyard right out here in front of City Hall and the police department. The foundation so far has raised about $165,000, as you can see below, based on the information that they have provided to the city, about $112,000 in cash contributions and about $53,000 in in-kind contributions. And they are requesting from the city an appropriation of just over $16,000. And as outlined on the slide, that would bring them up to the total cost of just under $181,000. It's worth noting that the request as currently stated would make up just under 9% of the overall cost of the project. The council has discussed this donation or appropriation recently at your December 14th, 2021 work session. And at that point in time, the consensus of the council was to advance the item for consideration and formal action by the council to authorize the appropriation. It's worth noting that Minnesota statute 471.941 does authorize the council to make appropriation for artistic purposes, and in fact, the statute specifically mentions sculpture. And just for the council and the viewing public's benefit, here are just a few images taken from the website for the sculpture. You can see the likeness of the various first responders. And in fact, if you look closely at the image on the left, you can see on the back Burnsville fire. That's a little difficult to see, but I think worth a gander. So this evening, staff does recommend the council amend the 2022 budget for two purposes. First, to increase general fund expenditures by the aforementioned $16,000 in change, and then authorize staff to release funds for the council's benefit. Administratively, these items are charged to the city council's budget since these appropriations occur at your direction. So if you're ever to review the information in greater detail, that's where it would appear. And as mentioned on the slide, the finance department will maintain more detailed records of the actions taken this evening. And with that, I would be happy to answer any questions that the council may have. There are also 2 representatives of the Burnsville Community Foundation in attendance who can also speak to the project.
Okay, does council have any questions?
No questions, but thank you, Dan, for 2 in a row, very solid, I was gonna say performances, but, agenda items, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor,
Very
members
helpful.
of the council. There's always a little theater, and I appreciate that.
Okay, hearing no questions, may I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second,
Okay, so we have it moved by Councilmember Gustafson, seconded by Councilmember Workman. Could the clerk call the roll?
Councilmember Gustafson.
Aye.
Keeley.
Aye.
Schultz.
Yes.
Workman.
aye.
All right, motion carries. We're now on to item 5B, and that is a meeting of the Economic Development Authority. So I will recess the city council meeting and conduct a meeting of the Economic Development Authority.
Thank you, Mayor Schultz. I call the Economic Development Authority meeting to order. Please note for the record that Commissioner Couts is absent and Commissioner Keeley is on Zoom. Are there any additions to the final agenda?
No.
Seeing none, I will move on. The only item we have tonight is the election of our officers. The current officers are Dan Gustafson, President, Kara Schultz, Vice President, Vince Workman, Treasurer. The city manager serves as the EDA Executive Director, the city clerk serves as the EDA Secretary, and the city finance director serves as the EDA Assistant Treasurer. Do we have any nominations?
Do we have to nominate to keep the slate the same?
You can nominate, keep the slates the same.
I would just move to keep this as is unless other council members had other plans. Which I don't think.
Do you have a
Okay,
second?
I'll second.
Okay, nominations to keep the slate changed by Commissioner Workman, seconded by Commissioner Schultz. May I have a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved?
Second,
First and seconded. Any opposed? Motion. No, that was a vote. Never, no, we have to call a vote here. You
Call
seconded it,
roll.
all right, now
I
we need to
motioned it.
do the roll call, I'm sorry, that's right. With the
this is what
Zoom-
happens when Elizabeth leaves.
With the Zoom thing, it kind of screws you up on that roll call.
Yep. Gustafson.
Aye.
Keeley.
Aye.
Schultz.
Yes.
Workman.
Aye.
Okay, the motion carries. There's nothing else on the agenda. I need a motion.
Flip it over.
Oh, there's something on the back. Oh, the consent agenda, I'm sorry, number 3. We do have a consent agenda, which is the minutes and the JPA for the Open to Business program. May I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Move to approve?
Moved by Commissioner Workman,
Second.
second by Commissioner Schultz. The secretary, please take the roll.
Gustafson.
Aye.
Keeley.
Aye.
Schultz.
Yes.
Workman.
Aye.
Item number 4A is adoption of the 2021 annual report. Michelle Collins, EDA Secretary, is presenting.
Thank you, President. The 2021 annual report was a part of your background. There was 6 meetings in 2021 for the EDA. I stand for any questions.
Are there any questions?
No.
No question.
May I have a motion to adopt the final report?
Motion to adopt.
Motion by Commissioner Schultz,
Second,
second by Commissioner Workman. Would the secretary take the roll call, please?
Gustafson.
Aye.
Keeley.
Aye.
Schultz.
Yes.
Workman.
aye.
The motion carries. Now there is no other business. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion
Second.
adjourned by Commissioner Workman, second by Commissioner Schultz. Will the secretary please take the roll?
Gustafson.
Aye.
Keeley.
Aye.
Schultz.
Yes.
Workman.
Aye.
We'll turn it back to you, Mayor Schultz.
I now reconvene the Burnsville City Council meeting. And guess what? There's no additional items to come before us on the regular council meeting tonight, so we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Okay, we have a first by Councilmember Gustafson, second by Workman. Would you take the roll?
Gustafson.
Aye.
Keeley.
Aye.
Schultz.
Yes.
Workman.
aye.
And the motion carries. We are adjourned.